All right. Hey, everyone. Obi-Wan back. As I was talking to the chat with some people, I started realizing that, not only is it good for you guys to see charts that I would get into, but also to see charts that I wouldn't get into, and the reason for why I wouldn't. So I went through Binance and a few other exchanges and just kind of went very
Just a
quickly.
reminder to the sixth grade book clubbers, we are having our last meeting before break, so I'll see you in our usual spot. Thanks.
So I went through a few different exchanges and just kind of looked at a few different coins and just kind of made lists of ones that I liked and ones that I would like in the future. And Loom was one of the ones that I wrote down that I liked in the future. And here's why. So here's the monthly chart. As you can see, there's been no massive candle here to show that the buying is overtaking the selling. Not yet, at least. When I go down to the weekly and I zoom in, you guys can see that I have a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So as of right now, the way that I trade, my personal feeling is that there is potentially another lower low. Now, could there also be, could this now be the lowest low and we coming up and into a new bullish phase? It's possible. However, for me, if I'm looking at the monthly chart and I zoom in, I need to see that this level has been clearly broken, which, actually now that I look at it, this was not something that was on my list before. That has clearly broken through. So in terms of a coin that is maybe a good place, one to start looking at, now that this prior resistance or prior support is broken through and broken back, and it looks like it's being tested as support, this might actually be worth a run up. Let's take a look. So we'll go back onto the weekly. Okay, so broke through, tested support, resistance, broke through. Okay, so why did I not like this coin to begin with? Because if the types of setups that I'm looking for is I'm looking to try to get into some high probability setups. Now, part of the reason why this one might look good is that we have this situation here, which created a lower low and then a higher high, and then this lower low might have just been done so this way we'd cut out any of the stops or cut out any people who had longed this particular level. You can see if you long this particular level, you're still at a pretty good place to get in. Now, if I were in this move, where would I be targeting? Let's see, probably someplace around here. Okay, so touched. I think that's probably a very realistic place for where price is going to go. I don't know if it's going to break on the third time that it touches that, but this actually does look good for a setup. Not necessarily what I trade in terms of my bread and butter. My bread and butter, what I would like to see is something where this thing comes up nice and high and then slowly comes back down. When it comes back down, I want to see it get to a level around this area here, where then that's when I would go and buy it. So I usually don't like to just buy stuff, just the breakthrough and the retest of a level. But this does look good if you wanted to make a move up. Okay. Let's see BCH. I think BCH was also one. Yeah, sorry. So here's another example. Here's another example of a coin that I would not want to get into right now, but once when there is bullishness, I would like to do it. Okay, so let's see. Notice how this was a fake out, right? We had a low, it created a lower high. Well, where did it create a lower high? At the prior support. Prior support was turned to resistance, so this thing is still going down. This is not worth me getting in at this time until I see some bullish action. So we'll go down to the weekly. I still just see lower lows being made. And look, this is such a high BTC value. Now this thing could be bleeding for a long time. So this is another one that I would not want to be in. Now, one that I would like to be in is something like Ripple. Okay, though it's not as perfect as I would like, this looks similar to the loom that we just saw, right? Where we had some sort of support. Okay, failed the support, failed the support, failed the support, broken through. And what we have now is we have this really bullish candle that's closed out all these others. So, if I were to play this, my level would, I'd be looking to aim someplace up here in terms of getting in. But the beautiful thing about Ripple is that this has now touched essentially the bottom of this giant range. So if Ripple comes down at, anywhere near this price again, I think it's worth buying and getting into, just because of the history of what has happened previously with it. So there's some ideas on what I'm not necessarily looking for, though some of the charts like Loom did end up looking decent for a trade. It's not my bread and butter, right? It's not necessarily what I'm looking for. And if you get into these sorts of trades where there wasn't a major confirmation, you want to make sure that you're selling at prior resistances, right? So you want to make sure that you're selling at these prior resistances where we've already been tested with resistance. All right. If you guys liked it, let me know, and hopefully that was helpful.